So the other day I was watching a movie called iRobot, and that's what inspired me to build this project. So I'll demonstrate how this works. So I could probably ask a question, say, when was iRobot movie, I don't know, filmed? I hit enter. It thinks for the time and gives this animation of us talking with the accurate answer. Okay, sorry, I talked over it. I'll ask another question. Who is the inventor of the printing press? I'll keep quiet this time. Yeah, so he gave an accurate answer, hopefully. So we'll be using OpenAI for getting the answers. We'll be using Next.js 13 for the API, and we'll be using React 3 Fiber for creating this cool scene. Yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Actually, this light was inspired by playing the game Slenderman, so yeah, I kind of use that as well. Okay, so hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Thanks. So let's get started. To start off, I'll open my terminal, go to the directory. So in my case it's dev yt, and in here I'll create a next application. So npx create next app at latest, because we'll be using the latest version of Next.js. So the name will be, let's say, 3D-bot, and we'll be using TypeScript. ESLint will not be using the source directory, we'll be using the app directory, and enter. This will create a next application for us. So while that is being installed, head over to your browser and let us go to Tailwind CSS for next, as we'll be using Tailwind CSS in this project. Still going on. Let me go to the docs here, and so I've got this ready. Let me go to npm React 3 Fiber. This is because this is another package which we'll be using. npm React 3 Fiber. This one. Yeah. My network is a bit slow. Okay, so this is the package which we'll be using for, which will allow us to use Three.js in our React projects, and we'll be using another package called npm React 3 Dre. These are some helpers which we'll be using for our project. Okay, I think it's done. So I'll cd into 3D-bot, and I'll open VS Code from here. So code dot, that should open a VS Code. Good. Okay, I'll open my terminal in here, and let me go to my Tailwind CSS docs and just install these two lines, as we've already have a project. And I can scroll down and copy these lines. Make sure you have this line here, app, because we'll be using the app directory. So once we have our Tailwind config file, we can replace this content with the one which we copied here. Let's save that, and finally we'll copy this and go to globals.css. Here I can paste in that. Now if I go back here, I'll clear all this out. Clear that. Okay, I've not cleared everything. It seems again my laptop is slowing down. Seems to be a recurring theme whenever I use Three.js while recording simultaneously. So let me check. So to check, I'll just say hello, and here I can go here and give a class name of text red 500. I'll copy it. I mean, I'll save that. I'll actually delete all this jazz right here. We don't need this, and we don't need this. So now if I save and go npm run dev, let's see whether we've made some mistakes or not. So let me launch, dismiss that, go to localhost 3000. Okay, it's still taking time for it to launch. Okay, so we have our hello with the text red here, so it's working good. So now let me install React 3 Fiber. I'll cancel out, I'll terminate the server and paste this. Finally, our Dre helpers. I'll close all this out. We don't need any of it anymore. So while this is being done, we'll have to wait for some time. Okay, cool. And finally, our last dependency which we'll be needing for this project, npm I react 3 Dre. Cool. Now let's begin. So let me clear this off first and go to my main here, give a class name of screen, save that and go to layout here, go to the body and I'll change the color here. So class name, let's say bg black, save, and I'll refresh this. My server is not running, so npm run dev, refresh it again. Okay, while this is being run, I'll go here, and here we'll have two components, which is one is text to speech. This will basically change whatever, not change, sorry, translate whatever the user types in an input field, which we'll be having here, to speech, to an audio version. And we'll also have a chatbot canvas. This is a canvas where we'll have that model. So let's start off by creating a text speech component. So in order to do that, close everything here, and the in the root create a folder called components, and in there we can create a new file called text to speech .tsx, RAFC for the boilerplate code. Save that, and we can import it here. Text to speech, this one right here. Save that. Can't see anything here because I think it's black, that's why. So let's start by actually creating the input fields. So let's say div, we'll have a form, then we'll have an input. We don't need an action. We'll have an input here, and input will have a button saying, let's say, ask. Can't see anything as of now. Yeah, I think that's about it. We can start styling our input fields. So let's say class name bg transparent, it'll have a width of 500 and text 10 pixels. It will have a border and let's say a border of color hash B00 C3F, and we'll have an opacity also, so opacity of 80. Let me save that, refresh this. Okay, nice. Next, let me give a outline of none, rounded LG, and a placeholder. We'll have the text as same color actually. Copy this out and I can paste it right here. And the last thing is padding of 2 and text also of the same color, as this will be our light color also. So let me refresh that. Okay, nice. Next, let me give a type. Let me give a placeholder next. Placeholder, and let's say, what do you want to know human? Sounds very evil in my opinion. Okay, I think that's all for this input field. Next is the button. So let me give a class name. So text, again the same, have the same thing, and padding of 2, border, and border, the color again is the same, that reddish color, rounded LG, and disabled. If it's disabled, I want a different color. So let's say text blue 100, and while it's disabled, not here, this one here, disabled, we'll say cursor not allowed, cursor not allowed, cursor not allowed. And disabled again, let's say BG gray of 500. Then while we hover, we can give a scale of 110, and hover text of black, hover BG of hash B00 C3F. Okay, that's it, and the duration will be 300, and transition all. Let's save everything, refresh this. Okay, nice. Thing seems to be working properly. Is the scale working? Where's my scale? Okay, I messed up the scale. I was wondering why it's not getting bigger. Hover scale 110. Okay, now it's working. Now it's how. Okay, so this next will style our form. So let's say class name will have space x of 2, so all the child components will have a spacing of a certain value, and pt2. Okay, and here I can make this div relative and top 0, and give a z index of 50, as it will be above the canvas. And then I can give an absolute, let's say top 800 pixels and left of 30 pixels. Let me refresh this. Okay, it's going a little down. We can fix that later on, or I'll fix it now. So let me go back here, page, edge screen, text to speech. Let me check. Okay, so that's not, it's fine. This is because I've actually resized the window. When I'm at full, it actually displays, but because I'm recording, I keep it like this. So that's just because I'm recording. Okay, fine. We got that done. Now we can do the audio part. So let me go here. We'll have some states. So use state snippet. Let me say it as user text. Set user text, and it'll be a string, and I'll have to import useState. Next, what I need is a state for loading. So useState snippet is loading. It'll be false by default. Okay, then we can map the value for it. So let's say value is user text, and on change we could say set user text to e.target.value. Save everything, and we get an error because this by default in Next.js 13 is a server component, and not to make it a client component, just type use client. That easy. Okay, so once that's done, we can actually start to create on submit, and let us call it handle user text. We can create this function now. NFN, let's call that as handle user text. It'll be E, and this will be of type form event. Form event, if I remember correctly, it should be HTML form element. And here for the last parameter, we can give as prevent default. Now to check whether our, let me cross this out, to check whether our input is working, I can just console log out the user text. Open my DevTools and just say hello. Or here, hello. Okay, so our input is working. Now for the fun part, let's start with using this. We'll be using a API called speechSynthesis API. Yeah, we'll be using this for converting the user text into audio. You can check out the documentation. It's quite verbose. Okay, so let's start. To create it, first thing what you'll do is const. I'll create a variable called const, and I could, because we're using Next.js, because of how Next.js works, because it is a server-side rendering framework which uses both server and client-side codes, you'll have to actually type in this. I'll explain what this is shortly. Defined, undefined, and if it is, then we can go window dot speech synthesis, or else it is null. So if you are in the server side, obviously window object will be null, but if you're in the client side, this will translate to true, and we will initialize window dot speech synthesis. And if it's in the server side, it'll be null, so we won't get any errors. Let's create another constant called voices. This will have all the voices which are there in this API synth dot get voices. I save that and console log out the voices and expand this over my DevTools. These are all the voices which are there in this API. You can check this out. And if I close that, but the voice which we'll be using is like selected voice. Let me create a constant called selected voice and voices dot find voice. This will give me the voice which I want, so in my case it's voice dot name. If it's Albert, I want you to return it to the selected voice. Save that. Now let me create another function called speak, and this will have text to speak as a parameter, which will be a string, and inside there we'll initialize another constant called utterance new speech. This is all from the API documentation, so this is how it's done. Speech synthesis utterance is what we want, and we can just give it the text to speak. Then I could say synth dot speak utterance. Okay, nice. So for now, what we could do is, let's say, just to check this out, text to speak instead of handle user submit, this will be coming up later. I'll just console log this out and console log this out. Just go here on click. You don't have to do this. This is just to check whether our whether our speech synthesis is working or not. I could just give user text, save that, and say hello world. Let me increase the voice here. Okay, so there's something wrong here. Let me check again. Something which I didn't do properly. Utterance speak. Just that. Okay. Let me do another thing. Just uncomment all this out, and I'll take this out. Just go here. I can go here, user text. Over here, speak. I could say user text. Let's try whether this works. Okay, now it's working. So if I give hello world, it works, but the sound is not what we want. So if I unselect this and say Albert, and I have to assign this to the utterance. So utterance dot voice and give selected voice. And if I give exclamatory, which means it cannot be undefined. If I give hello world, it gives this that creepy kind of voice. There are a bunch of different. I'll show you some other one. One is called Karen.
Hello world.
Yeah. And the other one is Tessa.
Hello world.
Yeah, there are a bunch of these. So I found that Albert sounds great to me. It gives me that creepy kind of look, creepy kind of voice, not look. Okay.
Hello world.
Yeah, that's good. So now we can actually also change the speed of how he dictates his text. So to do that, what you can do is utterance dot rate. If I give is 0.2, save it and say click this. Yeah, now that's good. Yeah, so that's what we wanted. That's the rate at which I want him to speak at. You can make it faster. So let me say 3. I think this will be too fast. Yeah, it's way too fast. So let me go for 0.2. Yeah, I think that's perfect for my use case. So next, what we want to do is we can actually do this here. So is loading. I want to set is loading to true here, and okay, this one set is loading. This is so that the user cannot keep on once he hits this, I don't want him to I don't want the user to keep on clicking ask. So in order to do that, what we could do is we could actually disable it when it is when is loading is true. So is loading is true, I want it to be disabled, and I could change the text to is loading. Let's say thinking, and if it's false, we'll say ask. Okay, so we set it to true. Once he starts speaking, actually no, once he starts speaking, set it to true, and once utterance dot on end, once it finishes, I'll give a callback function saying set is loading to false. Seems I did a mistake here. Let me see what it is. On end should be that. So yeah, so now perfect, that works perfectly. Now let's create an API endpoint so that the user text will send the user text to the API to the backend, and the backend here will send it to OpenAI, and whatever OpenAI sends us to the roots here will send it back to our component here. So that's what we'll be doing next. So in Next.js 13, the way you create roots endpoints is in the app folder. There is a folder called API, and under that, whatever name which you give will be an endpoint. So in this case, what initially when we installed this application, we got this as an example, hello. It's a hello folder. In that there's a file called root.ts. So if I go to localhost / 3000 API / hello, we should be getting a message here. So hello Next.js. So that's how it is created. So if you would want to create another route, you would say whatever the you would call you'll rename this to whatever you want, or you could actually create a new folder. So I'll create a new folder called OpenAI, and inside there I have to create a file called root.ts, and if I copy this and paste it right here, hello from OpenAI, and if I go to OpenAI here, hello from OpenAI. So that's how you create endpoints in Next.js 13.2. So we won't be requiring a get request, actually we'll be using post. So post here, and then we'll be destructuring something. So from request.json, we'll be destructuring user text. Whatever the user types in from the front end, we'll be getting it back here as user text. Then we can say return new response JSON. Okay, this the way, if you're using TypeScript, this would be if you're using JavaScript, but if you're using TypeScript, if you go to their documentation here, so Next.js 13.2 beta, another blog, let me say beta docs. So the way, if you're using TypeScript, the way you would do this is slightly different. So if I expand this, go to route handlers, and if I scroll down, yeah, right here, it's mentioned here. If you're using TypeScript, you'll have to use this thing, next response.json. So that's what we'll be doing. Return next response.json. Inside we create a object, and we'll say user text, just to check things whether this works or not. And we can also give a status of 200. Okay, so we'll check whether this our endpoint works or not. So I can go back to 3000. I'll have to call it here. So in here, let me give a try catch block, and I'll just comment this out for now, and I'll create a response, const called response, say await. I'll have to make it async as well, async fetch. So the path will be /API/OpenAI, and then I can give a method called post, and next is headers. So content type will be application JSON headers, and finally we'll give a body. Let's JSON dot stringify user text, and then what I could do is go here and destructure out the message from await response.json. Finally, we could console log it out. So message, save that, open my terminal and open my DevTools, I'll say hello from client. I send it here. Okay, I think I didn't I'll have to console log it here as well for you to see what happens. So user text, I'll refresh that again. I'll say hello from client ask. So as you can see here, it goes from our backend and comes back to our front end as I'm sending it here. Nice. So this works. We could actually abstract this out. So if I go here, create a new folder called utils, and in there I'll create a file called send text to OpenAI.ts, and I can just create a function here, export const send text to OpenAI. It'll be an async function. It'll get a, it'll have a parameter of user text. It'll be a string, and I can actually go back here, cut all this out, paste it here. No, it's fine. And instead of console logging it out, I'll return the message. That's fine. I could give some, I could say message is string MESS. Yeah, I always misspell message for some reason. Copy this, paste it right here. I could give, again, this is all basically TypeScript proms. I like it being strongly typed, so I tend to do this a lot. So if I go hover here, I get a promise of string. Nice. Now here, back here, I can say let's call it message, and then I'll await it and call that function which I just created, send text to OpenAI, and give it the user text, which will be the text which the user types. So user text, then I can say speak message. I'll remove this, and then I could give an error. So let message. Okay, so this is, I cannot do dot message. This is because of TypeScript. It gives me an error. So in order for that to go away, what I could do is create a variable called message, and if error, instance of error, then message will be error dot message, and this will be just message. Again, I misspelled it. Message. Okay, now all the errors are gone. And finally, what I could do is here I could say, okay, so I haven't done that yet. So while all this is going on, I want set is loading set to true. So basically the user cannot keep on clicking, keep on sending requests to the backend. That's why I'm doing this. Set is loading to true, and once whether it passes or fails, what I want to do is set is loading to false, and set user text to empty string. Okay, that's done. So we've configured this part here. Now the only thing left is to go to OpenAI, AI API key. Want you to head over here to this link right here. You'll have to go here. I have a bunch of keys. You'll have to generate a new secret key. I'll be deleting this after this project, so you'll have to copy your own. So once you've copied, go back here, create a new file called .env and open AI API key and just paste in whatever you've got. So after that you can close that, and then actually you'll have, there's a small lie which I told, which was actually you'll need another package which is called OpenAI, npm OpenAI. So if I open a new terminal and go down, you'll have to copy this out to use OpenAI. Paste right here. So while that is being downloaded, I can go and clear my that console log over there. And now we'll create a constant called completion. Will await OpenAI dot create. Okay, sometimes VS Code doesn't work the way I want it to work, which is fine. OpenAI, this will have to initiate it. So I could I'll have to import it first. So const OpenAI, actually I'll just copy this out instead of pasting it here, and I'll have a bunch of errors because I'll have to import all that. That's fine. I think it's all done here. Fine. I'll keep this all on top. Okay, so now create chat completion, and in there we'll give a model of, we'll be using the latest GPT 3.5 turbo. Actually I can show you how I got this. So if I open AI playground, there are a bunch of different models which you can use over, yeah, I think it's this one. No, not this one. Let me actually go here. I should be having it right here. Where is readme? Okay, chat. Yeah, this one. Yeah, this is the one here. So if you go to this link here, they basically say how you can use their backend. So for images you'll be using this, for chat it's should be this one right here. Yeah, so this is how I got basically the code, this one right here. I just copy this out. So the model which we'll be using is the latest one, model GPT 3.5, and then you'll have to give a messages. Again, this is everything is from here itself. The role will be user. Guess I made a mistake somewhere. Oh no, I think there's another parameter which is content, and that'll be user text. Okay, so then what I'll do is, this is how you actually retrieve it back. This is how it's deeply nested inside the response. So I can just say const AI message will be this completion, and inside completion data, which will give us an array. The first we'll take in the first one, and we'll take out the message from that. Okay, let's console log out the AI message to see what we get. AI message, and instead of this, it'll be AI message. I think this will be an object. Let me check. Okay, so as we've done that part, we can refresh it to check to make sure everything works right. So let me say, who is the creator of Three.js? I'll ask. Just thinking. Let's see. Okay, we got an error, which is supposed to happen when we are creating stuff. Okay, let's see what the error is. It's a 500 internal server error. Request. Okay, there's a request going in, so front end works properly. Server error. Let's see. OpenAI API key, probably this one. Go back here. Yeah, the underscore is a problem. So I'll console log out again. I'll refresh it again. Who is the creator of Three.js? Okay, we're getting an undefined now. Let's see. Okay, so that is because this is basically an object. AI message. Okay, so AI message, I think, fine. I could do something called content dot content. Save that again. Let's see again. Who is the creator of Three.js? Console again. Okay, we're getting an undefined here again. So there's a problem with our front end, maybe. Let's see. I'll console log out the message, because here it's giving me the answer right here in the backend. I mean the terminal. Let's see what we get as a console log. Who is the richest man of all time? Still thinking. Okay, fine. It is difficult. It's undefined. Why is that? Message. Yeah, like always, I've misspelled it. I'm sending a different object to the backend and retrieving it as a different name. Maybe that's the reason. Let me rename this to MESSAGE MESSAGE. Try again. How are you? Okay, it's default. I'm probably making a very stupid mistake. Const. Okay, it's probably here somewhere. I send it here. I'll console log out the response. Okay, so fine. Oh, it's working. It's actually working. Probably because there's no hot refresh in Next.js 13 at the recording at the moment. Let me now ask again. Who is the founder of Tesla?
The founder of Tesla is Elon Musk.
Okay, so our front end is working. We were getting an error because we hadn't refreshed it. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe. Okay, so with that, we've done this speech synthesis part of our project. Now the only thing which is left is getting the 3D model to our project now. So let's start building the canvas now. Okay, so I'm getting a message here. I'll just clear out the console log. This should be in the API route here. I'll delete that out, close this, and we can go back to our page to see what is okay. So chatbot canvas. Let's create this component now. Go to your components folder, and there let's create chat bot canvas.tsx rafc, and I'll put that here, chat bot canvas. Okay, I think it's here. Now we can start. We can check whether our React 3 fiber works or not. So I'll import canvas mesh, and in there I can bring box geometry. Save that, refresh it. Okay, maybe one. Okay, yeah. So when you're using React 3 fiber in Next.js, again you'll have to, because this is a server side component, you'll have to explicitly mention that it's a client side component. So use client. Save that. Nope, not this. Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Refresh it. I should get rid of the error box here. So our React 3 fiber works properly. So next, let me give in orbit controls. Now I can move it around if I refresh it. It becomes my laptop slows down like a lot when we are using React 3 fiber. Okay, so now we have control over it. Fine. So I'll delete this out and give head here component. This is, we didn't create this now as of now, which we'll create it right now. Head, and it'll be, and we can return null. I'll actually stop this because I have written except. Okay, I just typed in head, go down, check mark the downloadable. You have a bunch of these right here. You cannot download all of them, but you can download some. So the one which has this kind of icon, you can download it. So click on that and just go down, and you have to download the GLB format. I basically took the one with the least size, 8 MB. Yeah, so you can check out, there are a bunch of different ones right here. I already downloaded and kept it here in my downloads folder right here, head.glb. I actually encourage you to use the same one. I'll link this repo down the description below because there was a scaling issue when I downloaded it from sketchfab. So I put this in Blender and made some tweaks to it. So yeah, so I highly recommend you to use this one, the file which is in the repo. Then I could use, okay, now we can say const model use gltf and give it the path which is head.glb. Save that. I'll run the server. Hopefully it doesn't slow down too much. Refresh it. Oh yeah, after console log it out. It's taking time. Fine. And yeah, so I'm getting my model here, which I've console logged. So now to display it in our web page, I want you to create a tag called primitive, and in there under the object attribute just give model dot scene, and then we'll scale it up to 3. I'll save that, refresh it. You can't see anything because there's no light in the scene as of now, so I'll just give a ambient light, save everything. Now we have this this head now. Nice. So now I'll just fix the rotation of it. So rotation dot z 0.2. I played around with these values, that's why I came up with this. So now we have our head. Okay, it doesn't look too good at the moment. Next, what we could do is we don't want the user to scroll like completely. You can see the back, and I don't want the user to do that. So in order to limit orbit controls, go here and say enable zoom false. This will not allow the user to zoom in and out. Next is the enable damping. This will give it that, as you can see, like that inertia kind of. There's a slight different what do I call it, I click it, I move it around, and there's a slight movement even after I've done that. That's what damping does, enable damping does. Next is max polar angle. This is basically the vertical angle in which the orbit controls allows. So now I can not go completely down. It gives me only like till here until here. That's it. Next is a min azimuth angle. Min azimuth angle. This is basically the horizontal value for the orbit controls. So 0.5 and max azimuth angle. I hope I'm saying that correctly. math.pi into 0.5. Save everything. Refresh this. Now I'm able to only go here, this 180 degrees. Okay, so orbit control is done. We could ambient light, head. Okay, next is let's go with the animations. So if I go here and say const animation, use animation. This is from Dre. You'll have to give it model dot animations and the scene. So model dot scene and const action animation dot action dot animation. I know this seems a lot, but it's how you do it. This is in order to get the animations. So if I console log out action, save it, open DevTools, yeah, so this is basically the object which we are getting. This is a lot, I know, but this is how you access the animation. So now we could use effect and say action dot play. Getting an error. Now if I save that, he starts speaking. Nice. But this, when I do action dot play, he keeps on speaking, he won't stop. So there's another property called action dot stop. This will stop the animation from happening, but now it's playing and stopping immediately. I just wanted to show there are these two properties. We'll configure this shortly. And this has a dependency of action. Save that. I'll comment this out. So that's how you do animations in React 3 Fiber. Use action.play, action.stop. There's also action.fade. There's many. Fade in, fade out. There are many functions for this. So before actually doing the animation, I wanted to show you what animation is there. Now let's just fix the lighting of this this canvas. So ambient light will change the intensity. So intensity will be I think it was 0.025. Or is that too less? Yeah, that's, I think I'll decrease it to 0.015. Still nothing. I'll put, okay, that's fine. Now what we'll do is, let us create another component for the light. So if I go down, I have to fix this alignment. Yeah, fine. We'll create a component called torch, and for now let's create it. We'll create it on top here. I know I've put in all the components in one file. That's because I wanted the canvas part to be separate. That's why I put it everything in one file. You could do it separately, up to you, but I find it easier to work when all the canvas part is in one file. So okay, so torch will have a prop which is vec. This will be a vector 3, and we can also destructure the props. Fine. I think I'll have to import this vector 3. Okay, I'm not getting that, so I have to manually import it. 3 will come from Three.js, so vector 3. That should get rid of the error. Okay, fine. That's okay. It's slowing down. Come on, computer. You can do it. Okay, we'll have a light, const light, use ref, and we'll also, okay, fine. It's slowing down a lot. I'll just close my server, refresh this will kill it completely. Okay, now it's working fine. We'll also return something. So return we'll have a spotlight, and I can save that. Cool. Now I'll bring in some other values. So light, useref, be a null, and the type will be 3.spotlight, and we can give the ref here, light. Fine. I want to cast a shadow, and penumbra. These are some values which I found to work best. These are basically the intensity of the light, the distance up to the where the light can go, all that. 0.35, the attenuation, which is 5, angle power, which is 4, and intensity will be 3, and we could destructure all the props which come. Fine. Okay, now let me npm run dev again. Okay, come on, let's see. Let me know in the comment section down below whether your computer also slows down or it's just me. Here, as you can see, the position is not accurate. It's somewhere, it's in the 0 position and it's down. Okay, whatever. In order to change the position, I can go here, give a color of blue, and say the position as 3 units in the x-axis, 2 units in the y-axis, and 2 units in the z-axis. I'm getting an error now, probably because of this. Okay, now I'm getting that light, cool little light which comes here. Nice. We'll have another torch which will be the red light, but this time minus 3 units in the negative part of the x-axis, and this will be hash b00c3f. Save it. Now we have that cool red light as well. Okay, cool. Now finally I want to change the position of the light should change according to the how I move the mouse. So in order to do that, go back to your torch component. I'll actually fine. I'll go back to torch here. So we'll be needing the viewport. I'll do that later. We use something called use frame from React 3 Fiber. This will run the, this is in each frame what changes should be made. So we'll need access to the state. Next is light, which basically references to our spotlight dot current dot target dot position. So basically the position of this light, I want to lerp it. So lerp is basically an interpolation between two values. So that basically means what changes are being from a current value to the set value. That's what lerp does. I don't want to go too deep into that. So then we can set the vector dot set state dot mouse dot x. This is the target value, and state mode dot x, and state dot mouse dot y. Finally, this is, I feel as I'm making a mistake here. 0, and this will be 0.1. Fine, alpha. Now we are getting that now it's moving. The spotlights are moving accurately. Not accurately, we'll do some other changes. It's not as powerful. I have to move a lot the mouse for there to be a slight change in the light. So now to configure that as well, go here. We could let's say divide by 2. Let's see, I'll refresh it. Oh yeah, I didn't explain how I'm getting the mouse. So state basically gives you a bunch of like access to the mouse, the position of the mouse. So if I console log out the state, you can access the mouse, the camera, basically everything. 3.js has everything in this canvas you can access through this state: the mouse, the camera, the meshes, all that. Okay, so another thing which I can do is, as you can see now, when I resize the window, the position of the spotlight doesn't change. So in order to do that, what we could do is, again, const, we could take the viewport. Yeah, I'll remove the console log because it's slowing down everything. Const viewport and use 3 will have access to the state. Again, when we have access to the state, we can access the viewport, the camera, the light, all that. State dot viewport, and here, so this is basically trial and error. You can figure out the values with trial and error. I'll multiply this value with viewport dot width, and I can do the same thing. Actually, no, this thing here, I could do this into we divided by 2 to normalize the value. Okay, now if I npm run dev. Next.js takes time to initialize. As you can see, we have the spotlight. The light basically changes slightly if I move the mouse. So now finally, the final thing which you'll have to do is, when you're making changes to the cameras and lights, you'll have to update the matrix value of the world as well. So this is basically all 3.js stuff. So light dot current dot target dot update matrix world. So each objects in 3.js has its own matrix, and when you make changes to the lights and the meshes, you'll have to update the matrix value as well. I know that seems very far-fetched, but that's how 3.js works. It's a bit complicated. Okay, so now we have access to our light as well. Not access, I mean the light works perfectly. Okay, cool. So now what we could do is fix the animations, I guess. Okay, so in order to fix the animations, I want it to play only when this speech synthesis is speaking. Let me fix the alignment of this. I think if I just do this, it should work. Yeah, fine. Yeah, so only while speech synthesis is speaking, I want the animation to play. So what we could do is we could have a state called is playing, and if okay, and if I go, no, sorry, it's not here but here. If I just cut this out and put it right here, yeah, I'll put it right here. Okay, I have to import it as well. So if this state is true, is playing, okay, this should be P, this should also be capital. Okay. If this is true, I want to play the action, else what I want to do is I want the animation to stop, but not just stop, I want it to fade out. So we could use fade out, fade out in 0.5 seconds, and then it should stop. We could also do we could set a timeout function, and we could put this as 500 milliseconds. Okay, so what this basically is saying is, if the state is true, then it should play while this is while the speech synthesis is playing. It will set to true, and once this finishes, this is set to false and fades out, and after 500 milliseconds of fading out, the action should stop. I mean, the animation should stop. So in order for that to happen, we need another state over here in our text to speech component, right here. So right here, we could have set is playing to true. It should be set to true, and on end, once this animation is done, I want set is playing to false. But now I'm getting an error because I cannot access this this state. So in order for us to have access to that, what we'll need to do is we'll have to create a context provider for that. So now think we can create it under app itself. We'll create a new folder called context, and inside that we can have a file called is playing context.tsx, rafc, and I could now we can start creating our use context we can use. So this will be a use client component again, because there are a bunch of states and stuff. So we'll have to export a const app context, create context from React, create context. This will have is playing as an object, which will be false, and set is playing, this is the initial value. So set is playing to set is playing will be a function. Okay. Now here I'll create a state called use state snippet again, is playing, set is playing, this will be false, we'll have to import useState again. Okay, now we'll have to consume this. So export const is playing, I'll call it provider, this and we'll have to give it some for TypeScript, we'll have to give it some types. So this will be type of app context type. We'll create this. If we don't do this, TypeScript will give us some errors. App context, if you're using again plain JavaScript, you don't need to do all this extra, you don't have to type all this extra types. So this will be boolean, and set is playing will be react dot dispatch react again set state action, and the type will be boolean. You could probably just go here and copy this, that works fine as well. Okay, then we'll call app context dot provider and put the same thing here. Sometimes these extensions don't work properly. Okay, and this will be children, and you'll have to give it as a prop here and give it the type as well. I'll type in the type here, react node. Yeah, from okay, I'm getting some errors, let's see what it is. Okay, I'll have to give it a value, which is the probably the most important thing. Value is playing, set is playing. Save everything, minimize that. Okay, so now we've created a provider. All you have to do is go back here, go here and say is playing provider. Now we have access to these two states, these is playing and set is playing, in these two components. I'll save it. I'll get an error probably because this, I have to fix this now. In order for us to have access to that two states, what you can do is I'll go top here and say destructure out is playing and set is playing from useContext app context. We'll have to give it the context as well. Okay, now all the errors here gone. Now again go back to chatbot canvas, and instead of this state we'll destructure it from here. I'll just copy this, remove this here, paste it right here, and I'll have to import this, import app context also, and here as well this is also a dependency. Now I'll give it is playing as a dependency variable, is playing. Save everything. Now if everything works properly, this should work accordingly. Let's see. Okay, now let me just say who is the creator of ChatGPT? It's taking time.
As an AI language model, I don't have access to the personal information of
Okay, so the animation is working.
ChatGPT. However,
Okay, it's still going on.
ChatGPT was
Okay, this is quite a long answer. Let's see. Okay, fine. So once the speech synthesis is done, like it's done talking, the animation stops. So with this, you've successfully built a 3D chatbot. Now I think I'll just fix this as well. The alignment is not accurate. So if I go to text speech, scroll down, I think I probably messed up something here. 30, okay, it's not 30 pixels. So I think it's 30%. Save that. That should have fixed it. Okay, so now this is also in center. Now everything is working properly. Our lights is working, our animations and text. And one more thing, if you're actually deploying this in Vercel, you'll probably have to generate a new open API key and pass it in Vercel environment keys, because whenever you push changes to GitHub, the OpenAI basically rebounds your API key. So each time you make changes to GitHub, like if you push changes, your API key doesn't work anymore. That's what I learned the hard way. Okay, so if you're deploying this again to Vercel, generate a new API key from OpenAI and paste it in Vercel as an environment variable. Okay, so that's it. Hope you guys learned something new. Thanks so much.